So let's see who's on the live stream. Tamesh, I see what you do. I'm first. Already did, boss. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm just gonna wait for everyone to come into the charts, to the live stream. Champ is in. Yes, great. Sub today, reach today, like today. Reaches? Wow, Albert is here. Great. Okay, let's see what have happened since because I gave you thank you so much, Bubs. I did give you another video a couple of 4 hours ago where I spoke about this push. After I edited it, the market actually pushed to the upside, so we're going up. And the market, we do have, okay, now people start to come in here. Excited for another update. Hello, James, Pura. Hey, thank you so much, James. Thank you. Hello, Michael, how are you? Crypto Tix UK, I guess it is. Hello, how are you? Galactic. So let's see. Hello, Sleeping Golden, of course you're here. Zanzea, that's a beautiful name. I don't know if you pronounce it like that, but hey, Natalie, how's your week starting? It starts off really good, actually. Hello, Tameshu, how are ya? Hello, Reddy. So the market did kind of what we expected it to do. We did speak about this one, and yeah, that was all for this. I was just joking. Now we know Natalie was right. Let's see. I just want to, yeah, exactly, it's the 4th of July, so happy 4th of July. Light, because I'm that 111 energy. Yes, you are, Tomeshu. Okay, so here for 5 minutes and hear nothing about BTC. Why are you complaining? Let me introduce the people. That is, well, okay, don't be like that. Okay, so let's see. I want to see first of all how it looks on DXY. Yeah, we only came back down and retested the previous high. Bitcoin. Okay, so on the 4 hourly, I don't know if you did look at the video that I did put up a couple of sorry, I just had to read the chat. So what I did since this morning was that I did change my trend line against the previous resistance, previous lower high that we can see, and that is exactly combined with my key level at 19,470. And right now I'm on the lower time frames. Let's see, the 2 hourly we have. Okay, so the market's been consolidating since 1 o'clock, so a couple of hours. 4 hours, yeah. How does it look? 3 hours. I'm just looking at the candlestick because I'm just trying to, just want to identify what could possibly happen, and it's just easier to do it go from one higher candlestick to another and just divide it. Okay, whatever. Let's see, the market, either the market pulls back down and give us a small retest of 19,670, this little key level that I do have. What I did before was that I took a Fibonacci. I took it from the low to the high, and that gives me Fibonacci levels 19,402 and 19,320. From these levels, we just might see the market pull. If we see the market drop a little bit now, we just might come back down to these Fibonacci levels, because I'm using the Fibonacci that is connected from the low to the break of structure. Sometimes the market doesn't pull back when we see the market having this huge breakout from the trend line. Usually we don't come back. We can only have a quick pullback and then see the market just continue up. And I saw that, I think someone commented on my YouTube also asking what to do if I don't believe that the market pulls back down so far. And at that point, I'm just waiting. I just wait. I'm more patient when it comes to it, because I just don't want to jump into a trade where I'm a little bit unsure about. But now we're not talking about that the market is just break to the. This is like short-term bullish momentum that we're looking at least how I see it. I do expect us to pull back up to potentially 20,270 and 20,590. So if we're continuing seeing the market pull back up to these levels, this is where I do expect the market to drop. So I'm not saying that the market is bullish 100%. This is just short term. We need to have a pullback, and it looks like we can have a pullback to these Fibonacci level that I took on the 12-hourly chart. But another thing that sorry, I do apologize because I do have so many lines here. I usually don't have it. We can do it like this because we already know the setup. But we also need to retest this level that we have at 19,920 overall. And so this is also a level where I need to look at and see if we see the market not having the power to continue to the higher target Fibonacci levels. But the candlestick is always showing us what it's supposed to do or what it's about to do, combined with, of course, support and resistance zones, and especially trend lines. Do you think this was a fake pump? No, I just believe that because if you're looking at the overall, you're coming back down to a support. So I don't know. I mean, just because it's a pullback, this doesn't mean it's a fake pump. This is how market is moving. There's no fake pump. The market needs to go up. The market needs to go down. So everything is not fake, right? Because if this was fake, how could I look at the market and see that the market needs to pull back to the upside? I mean, I calculated this, and a lot of other people did that too. So this is not fake. The market needs to pull back up for them to pull back down. It's just how the market is, it's a heartbeat. This is how the market is moving. Okay, we can go to Ethereum. Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream. My name is Natalie. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, go inside and do that. I do have live streams almost every single day from Monday to Friday. I have morning live streams where I go through the charts 1 hour before London session. That is 8 a.m. Swedish time for me. And this morning we were talking about the market actually pulling to the upside. So the market is doing what we already kind of knew what it was supposed to do. We also had some targets to the downside because we never know what the market's going to do. But this pump that we do have, this was something that we spoke about this morning. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you should do that. Because I show you kind of good how the market is moving by just understanding the concept of trading, and I do have a playlist for crypto trading for beginners. Market structure part 1, part 2 is definitely the most important things, because that's also how I can calculate this move to the upside. And backtest with me is also where I just go through what we're doing right here. I do that on these streams. On this one, I go more in detail about how I use the Fibonacci. In this live stream, I go through supply and demand zones, which is also very important. Trend lines, everything is so important. So you definitely need to go to the playlist Backtest with me, because this is how you're becoming better. Let's see. I'm just gonna look at the chat for some. Let's see. Hi Nat, hey all. I think some people call the market maker pushes pulls. I'm sure they do the game before Fed meeting. Everything is a setup. I mean, if you just understand the concept that the market is rigged, the market is rigged. This is what we're looking at. But you can still benefit of it. Natalie's the best. If only we had the type of teachers. Thank you so much. I'm ready to go long that. Hello Nathan, how are ya? Stock market is closed. That's perfect time to play big. Bye. This is that. My concern is 2MA having troubles getting above. Hopefully you're right, Nat. This is really a breakout to the upside. Love you, Crypto Queen. Thank you so much, Grids. Thank you. Oh, Dragon is here, drinking coffee. And don't forget that you can also receive a bonus on Bybit up to $4,450 by using the link in the description down below the video. I will also pin it in the chat. This is how you are supporting me in Bitcoin Census, so I am always available for you. But the good thing with Bybit is that when we hold our positions for a longer time, as especially swing traders, we have the very low fees. It's also many other things that's good with Bybit, but that is definitely one of the best ones. Okay, let's see what else. We're gonna go to Ethereum. And as I spoke about in the video, in this video that I did have, that I uploaded 4 hours ago, when I uploaded the video, it must have been, where was it? Was it here? No, was it? Yeah, because we were still up below the trend, I guess. But I did have a, yeah, exactly. Where this Fibonacci was, that's where I recorded the video. And I told you that I didn't believe that we actually were supposed to pull back down to that level, because the market kind of had already done the move. So now we're just pushing up, and we also broke the resistance. Can you see how perfectly? So we do have this trend line that is connected with the first with the high to the lower high, and can you see how perfectly this is? Like, this is all beautiful. We can go down to the low. This is something that I also can do if I see that the market is actually not giving me the biggest pullback. I can go to the 15-minute chart and take the last high low, but it's technically not, but it's a very small one, and you drag it back up to the high. And can you see how perfectly now the market also came back down and retested it? Because if we're looking at the higher time frames, you can see how the market actually had some great momentum to the upside. So yeah, this is definitely something that we can do, is that, or I can do, is that I take it on the 15-minute chart. And I mean, this is always, I mean, at that point I would have the stop loss below this little wick that we have right here, if that is the case. So yeah, that's how you can also take the Fibonacci on the 15-minute chart if we don't see the market have a bigger pullback. Giddish. I need to change the Okay, so let's see what else. Thank you so much, Babs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi. Hello, Naushad. I want to say thanks because I'm earning good money from your TA. Thank you so much. Thank you. Even though I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. Okay, let's see what, looking at 80A. 80A. So this was something that I think I gave it to Twitter a couple of days ago, because Bitcoin Census also have other best thing for psychology is to know the technical side of trading, and then stick to the levels and waiting for the market to come to you and then execute. That's what I wrote today. If you haven't already not subscribe, I have a Telegram group. Natalie Bitcoin Census. You also will have it soon in the live chat. This is where you can be more in contact with me and other very great traders and people that learn how to trade. And that was something that I did talk about today, that the best thing when it comes to psychology is to know the technical side of trading and then stick to the levels, waiting for the market to come to you and then execute. Because if you don't do that, you're just searching for trades over and over and over again, and your brain gets so cloudy, so you don't even know what you're looking at anymore, because you just want more and more and more. And when you're waiting for the market to come to you, that's how you're gonna start to trust yourself, because you see that when the market comes to your levels and the market respect those levels, it will be worth it. Trust me. I really don't like when a TP is missed by sense. Me not like, I know that. But it's good when it's like that with the stop loss. Have you ever had the stop loss almost taken and then the market just run to your take profit? Okay, so let's see. A. So we are right now, we were retesting a previous support. And I did expect the market obviously also to pull back. And today we've actually retested this level, but I do believe that we can have more momentum to the upside. So we were below the previous support, as you can see. On the lower time frames, we can see how the market slowly and steady broke inside the level again, retest. We have already retested a 50% at 0.4737, but I strongly believe that we can have a little bit more momentum to the upside, to be honest. And we closed exactly above 4,520 based on the support. Okay, so I would do okay, so for me to be a little bit more sure that the market is up, pulling back up to these Fibonacci levels, we need to break above 0.4577. That is where I potentially can see the market pull back up a little bit more. If we see that the market is closing below, this could have been a fake out also from the resistance retest, and then could potentially see the market continue back down. This can definitely happen, but I still believe that the market will push back up a little bit. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Did I give you a clear answer about this? Okay, so either we see the market pull back up again to the Fibonacci levels and then expect the market to reverse back down, or we'll see the market break below the support trend line, give us a retest, and then see the market drop. But I still believe overall that the market will reverse back down. But based on that, as Bitcoin needs to pull back up a little bit, it can actually be like that. If that is the case, take profit 1 is 4,370, take profit 2 is 4,100, and take profit 3 is 3,885. Okay. Nat is the new age preacher. Oh, hello. We will go down because we're going to have again rate hike in July. To mention, I focused to learn on Fib structure from Nat Visa about 3 months ago. Before that, I almost gave up on trading thanks to Nat. Oh, Sleep and Golden, that's so great. So happy to hear that. Let's see what else. Really don't. Okay, FTM. FTM USDT. Okay, yeah, look at this. Let's see. Okay, so looking at the 2 weekly chart, what we also can see now, because we're expecting Bitcoin also to go up, right? So we are at a support. On the 2 weekly chart, we have a inverted hammer, which is what we all know is a bullish reversal pattern. And if we drag the Fibonacci on the daily chart, or was it on the weekly? We drag the Fibonacci from 4,357 back down to the low, 0.2235, gives me the Fibonacci levels 3,286 and 3,536. Okay, so remember now, a inverted hammer. I have a target where I potentially can see the market pull back up to, and we are retesting the support. This support gave us the low, the high low. And now, let's see. Okay, so we have a resistance trend line. Sorry guys, I'm just, give me 1 second. Okay, so we just, okay, so we are right now about to retest the low of a previous higher time frames candlestick at 2,570. And we also broke. Okay. We're still below the trend line, so we can definitely see that the market is pulling back up to retest the trend line for then see the continuation of the drop. But we can also, if we see that the market pulls back down now, either to 2,570, and that is it was the higher time frames at the 2-weekly close, yeah. But we can also retest 2,558, potentially 2,544. That could be where we see the market push to the upside. By following how so I do follow the 2-weekly chart now, based on that we are at a support, and we do have this inverted hammer, exactly. And what the market usually does is that it fills that wick, and based on the daily Fibonacci levels, the weekly Fibonacci level, this is where we can expect the market to pull back up to, for then reverse back down again. But there's always a possibility for the market not to do that, obviously. And if that is the case, we just take these things away, and we're gonna use we're gonna use this level right here, or let's see, I can take this one away. If we would see that the market is giving us much bigger, like big bearish candlestick breaking through this level at 2,550, that could be the beginning of the drop. So it can either do what I said it was supposed to do and then pull back to the upside, or we just break it, retest it from below, and then see the market continuing to drop. So it's always possibilities or probabilities, right? But I do definitely see the market pull back up by looking at the higher time frames. Yeah, this was a long analysis on FTM. I hope everyone is feeling good today. Guys, where are you from? We do have 174 people on this live stream. Where are you from? I'm from Sweden. And I see that you guys writing 333. What have Sleeping Golden said to you? I am a lonely trader. 111. I can find support on the charts, but no emotional support in my life. Lol. Malaysia, Pakistan. Thank you. You're welcome, President. Prickly Pep, Ohio, USA, India 888. You see, I can't see anything without the glasses. Brazil, in India. How are you from London? Lestaker, I'm so good. How are ya? How are ya? Prickly Pep 111. USA, Santi, Chile, India. Oh, we have Los Angeles in the building. Greetings from the Netherlands, Indonesia, Netherlands, San Diego, best city in the world. I don't know, I've never been there. How do you know? Philippines, Rotterdam, Sweden. Oh, we got Sweden. Hey, hur mår du? Ohio, USA, come to India. Anyone from Japan? I always love your way to analyze the market. Faz, thank you. Puerto Rico, Atlanta, but living in Mexico. Love from Pakistan. Well, love back to you. Italia, Kansas City, Dubai. Okay, great. We have so many people from all over the world. That is great. I guess I have the best weather It's raining outside. It's a little bit cold, so I guess I have the best weather in here. So, don't want to brag about it, but it's not that fun, to be honest. SX still here. Yes, you are, Tamesho. Yes, you are. Can we see you go down to what Bitcoin is doing? We are retesting. Oh yeah, so we do pull back down a little bit. Where's the seagulls, Nat? Well, I don't know. I do not know. 12 hourly. Well, we just have to wait and see. Oh, we can take a support trend line. If we now would see that the market is not continuing to the upside, because as always that can also happen. If we see that Bitcoin breaks, and everything has to do with how the candlestick is looking, obviously. But if we see the market break below the support trend line and that we can come back up and retest 19,670 as a new resistance, this could definitely be where you see the market drop again. Yeah, we just have to wait and see what's going to happen. So I can put an alert. Oh, it just looks like we're pulling back down to it. Do you think Ethereum can see 1050 today? I don't know. Maybe. Depends. I want to sell off my shorts at that price, and yeah. Okay. Court Holio, hello, how are ya? Guys, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you know where to go. It's a fake out. Yeah, we just have to wait and see. We just have to wait and see. Is there anything else that you want me to go through? Oh, the seagulls is here again. The seagulls is here. Don't we have MATIC? MATIC USDT. Hey, thanks for your analysis. Been watching recently. What is the best time to analyze BTC? I work myself through every time frame, but I would, for myself, it depends on what type of trader you are, but I look from a higher perspective, and then I just slowly instead break everything down from the 4 hourly and up. That's where I see direction, and on the lower time frames I execute. That's how I do it. Okay, let's see. So we came back down and retested 3,868. So we retested a previous resistance, right? And on the last week, we did close with a pretty huge bearish candlestick. Nay. Nay! So we're gonna use this level as a supply zone. Oh, sorry, as a demand zone. I hope you. Two daily chart. Sorry, yawing. Yawing is coming. Your stop loss hit soon. Who are you talking with? Faizan. Okay, so we are above the weekly high. No, the weekly close right now. This actually kind of doesn't make sense at all. I'm not gonna lie. I just don't like the chart on MATIC, to be honest. I'm trying to force something now that I cannot see. So I'm actually gonna leave MATIC alone. What we're trading tonight. Let's see how Bitcoin looks again. Okay, so we are retesting. So it is 6 minutes left of this 15-minute candlestick. Looking at the 1 hourly, this is look like a typical fake out. Hello, Benny. How are ya? Oh, Mandy. Happy 4th of July. So one thing for sure that can happen is that we pull back down to 19,470 again. That is definitely something that can be. If it is a fake out, you'll also see the market pull back down to 19,470, potentially retest 19,670, and then see the market break down. If that is the case, we will also have a head and shoulder formation, and that is a bearish reversal pattern. So if this is a fake out, this will definitely happen. So now we know that type of setup too, or I do that, because it actually looks like it can happen, but everything is probability. Why are you so smart? You know, I know that I am smart. I know. That's why you see it. You have to know what you are. And don't be ashamed about it. You know that I know. She exercises her brain. Yeah, that I definitely do. Now you know. I blew my account this past weekend. That does not sound great. Well, it's a lesson to be learned in every situation. I short AVAX. at 15. Should I do or hold quit? Let's see. Was it AVAX? And he said, I short AVAX at 15 minutes. Should I do or hold quit? You can't ask me that after you've taken the trade. You should know why you even took the trade in the first place. Come on, Fads. You know better than this. You can't, you can't, so how long should I have the trade? I just sold it. Okay, but you need to know where, right? So this is the thing, like we're looking at a sideways market here. If we're looking at the overall, looking at the weekly, it's 3 weeks the market has been going, no, 4 weeks the market has been going sideways like this. No problem, Fads. I'm just saying, you need to know what you're doing before you do it. Especially when it comes to trading. Otherwise, you're just gambling. You don't want to do that. Okay, so another thing that also can happen, if we're using the previous resistance that we saw the market break above from, we saw the market try to break this level. The market pulled back down inside again, retested from below, came back down to the support. So what can happen? So, okay, let's try and see how it looks with the Fibonacci. Okay, so what can possibly happen right now is that we see the market pull back up to potentially $18.60. That is the 50%, and that is also combined with another resistance that we did have. So the market tried to break that level, as I said, pull back, came back below, retested, came back down to the support again. See the push. If we see the market push back up to these levels, that is also combined with that I actually do expect the market to pull back, right? So with that, the market also gave us a head and shoulder formation here too. That's how you spot head and shoulder formation, by using the previous resistance. So this is technically, if that is the case, this is the left shoulder, the head, and by looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, that looks like the beginning of a head and shoulder formation, because I've been back testing, you've been back testing the chart so much, so now you know what you're looking at, right? Because we're still following the trend. The only thing that we know is that we just might need to have a bigger pullback against that, the resistance, potentially also at $18.30. So yeah, something like that. And if we're looking at market structure, oops, on the lower time frames, we also so we broke the trend. But if this is also a fake out, if we see that the market doesn't have the power to continue up to these Fibonacci levels, okay, so this is perfect. So we just might see the market on AVAX pull back down to potentially 16.92, also 16.80. If we see that the market hold this as a support, this can slowly instead see the market, reverse to the upside, right? But if we see now that the market is giving us bigger bearish momentum and we break below the level, see the retest, that could be the market pull back down. And what do we have? A head and shoulder formation, if that is the case. That was pretty fun. That was dope, right? Hello, Tran, how are you? Let's see. Okay, so we're connected with the dots, right? So go back in time, what we can see, we're retesting a previous resistance at 9,900, okay? This is the weekly chart. Okay, so if we do expect the market to pull back up a little bit, because that is definitely something that I do. Let's see how it looks on the 2 weekly chart. So same thing here. We do have a previous resistance turn into a support. We also see the market giving us on the 2 weekly chart a inverted hammer, which is a bullish reversal pattern, which means that the market is supposedly breaking to the upside, right? We need to have a pullback to the higher on the higher time frames. So by using the higher lows and lower highs and lows that I can use right now, you look like my what the what? So we just might, okay, let's look at the lower time frames, what we can see first. Okay, so on the I dragged the Fibonacci from 2.4376 back down to the low at 8,026. That gives me Fibonacci levels where a potential retest can be created at, or it can pull back up to it. 1.6205, potentially 1.8104. Looking at the lower time frames, we have already broken the resistance trend line, as you can see right here, because even if we change the trend line to this, we've already seen the break of it. Yes, perfectly. The market did this. This is perfectly okay. So drag Fibonacci from low to high. This is also how you can use Fibonacci. Market pull back down to these levels. Okay, so what I did was that I took a Fibonacci from the low at 0.7960 back up to the high at 1.2783. That gave me the Fibonacci levels exactly where I do have my previous box that is highlighting the previous resistance. So everything is connected. Everything is just connected with each other. Okay, what happened? Market needed to pull back down to these levels. What happened? Market created the first low, higher low. Market now have the momentum to the upside. Resistance broke. So what does the market do right now? The market is giving me a higher high, which means that I can go into the charts at the moment. The market has done its move. So to be honest, this is where I should have bought the market to get this whole move. But the market showed us exactly. You can also see on the 4-hourly, we connect the dots with the lower highs, see the break of it, and on the lower time frames, this is where you see the break retest. Another confirmation, Fibonacci low to high. What happened? Another entry target retest, close above, retest this trend line. We know that from this level the market will reverse back up because we are already inside another Fibonacci level. So the market has already done its move. So I cannot tell you what will happen now. But it's always good to try to understand what the market did before. Because right now what we're doing is that we're also back testing exactly what happened. Because back testing these different levels and just try to connect it, we can also see that based on this Fibonacci, the minus 75 and minus 1.2 it's combined with the 61.8% and 50% where a expected reverse can happen. Press 111 in the chat if you understood what I was talking about and if you learned something new. That is great. Sleeping Golden. She learns new things every minute. Every single minute. That is great. Oh, that is great. Yeah, we can go to US 30. I saw that someone asked me about that. Okay, so on US 30, we have... But it's not even, oh, is it open? So we did analyze this morning too, and what happened was that, okay, yeah, so we are actually inside the Fibonacci levels right now. So let's see. Okay, but we're just following the trend here, and we retested Fibonacci, the 50% where a lower high is expected at 31,645. We also have the previous lower low right here, and right here is 31,260. Go to the lower time frames now, darling. The only thing that I'm thinking about is this wick right here. Look at the 2 weekly chart. Oh, okay, so we also have, of course. Okay, so I want to drag a Fibonacci on US 30 from 34,855 back down to 29,934. If we go to the weekly chart, we also have, because we just might see the market pull back up to 32,415. But I will also use this weekly. Okay, so if we break above 31,268, that is definitely a sign that we are reaching 32,410, potentially 32,976. From these levels, we do expect the market to revert, or I do expect the market to reverse back down. And I base this Fibonacci on the weekly chart because this is the last lower high. This is technically a whole move. And the 2 weekly chart, we have the bullish candlestick. And we also have on the weekly chart that, no, this is the the weekly. The 2 weekly chart does have a kind of a fat inverted hammer. A fat one. Because usually a inverted hammer, it usually have this small body to it, something like that, something like this, but this one is just got big candlestick. But obviously, if we see the market continuing back down now, so this was the setup that I also had, is that if we don't see the market break above this 31,295 and we actually start to see that the market is dropping, this is because we are inside Fibonacci levels too at 31,070, and this could also be where we see the market drop on US30, because if that is the case, Bitcoin will also do the thing that I said when the fake out comes. But if that's the case, take profit 1 is on US30 is 30,243. Take profit 2 is 29,643, and take profit 3 is 29,140. Ron, best ever showing the setup. Whoa. Okay, guys. From to take profit 1. That is amazing. Hey. So yeah. So this is what I see right now when it comes to US30. Let's see how when the market opens tomorrow, how it looks. How does it look on Bitcoin? So we came back down and retested 19,670 precisely. So we just have to wait and see now. And yeah, we do have this crazy wick. 2 hourly. Hello, Bernie, how are ya? 45 minutes. So yeah, let's see what the market will do. We're retesting the support trend line perfectly. Ethereum, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. NAS. I'll just take everything away. I don't like when the market is looking like this, to be honest. It's just the candlesticks is so tight. They're so tight. Hello, new to group. Hello, Komar. How are ya? Is going up, you say? Yeah, I mean, I just have to wait now. I'm just going back and forth now because, yeah, I'm just waiting for the market to either pull back down to these Fibonacci levels on Ethereum, 1090 potentially, 1086. Or we just had a quick pullback here. We just might also see the market only pull back down to potentially 1100 or 1096 for the market to continue. And what did I say on Bitcoin on the lower time frames? Yeah, the same thing here. Either we see the market pull back up now, thank you, Black Shogun. Does everyone come from that community now from nowhere? Okay, so someone said, ready, please explain BTC scenario once again if you don't mind. Yes, of course. So it actually looks like we can pull back down right now, looking at the overall, because if we're looking
Welcome, everybody, to the B Word. I'm Steve Lee, the lead of Square Crypto, and I'm here today to moderate a discussion about Bitcoin that will span from what makes it special to its relationship with energy, the community ethos, and the future of Bitcoin. I'm joined by three special guests. The first is Cathie Wood, founder, CEO, and CIO of ARK Invest. Next is Elon Musk, techno king of Tesla and chief engineer of SpaceX. And finally, Jack Dorsey, CEO of Square and CEO of Twitter. So we have a lot to talk about today. So let's get to the talk and get right to it. I'm going to start off by asking each of you a question, which is what's shaped and influenced your views on Bitcoin? And let's start with Cathie.
Okay, Steve, thank you. Well, the first thing was our focus on disruptive innovation. So starting in 2011, Brett Winton, our director of research, who I know will be on the program later, he started talking about this thing called Bitcoin at the time. And it was a curiosity as we were doing our brainstorms in research. But as we learned more about this open source ecosystem, that might fulfill the role of the payment system that the internet neglected to build into the system, not expecting commerce. We thought, this might be something. And then I became even more interested when I realized that my economics would come into play as well here. And Art Laffer, my mentor from USC, and a monetary scholar, in 2014, I asked him if he would collaborate on a paper on Bitcoin, and he was a bit of a naysayer at first, but agreed to read the paper. He read the paper, tore it up, and from an economics point of view, really wanted to understand this. And he said, I think you got something here. This is a rules-based monetary system. I've been waiting for this for my entire career. So the combination of disruptive innovation generally.
Pura, hey. Thank you so much, James. Thank you. Hello, Michael. How are you? Crypto Tix UK, I guess it is. Hello, how are you? Galactic. So let's see. Hello, Sleeping Golden. Of course, you're here. Zanzea. That's a beautiful name. I don't know if you pronounce it like that, but hey, Natalie, how's your week starting? It starts off really good, actually. Hello, Tameshu. How are ya? Hello, Reddy. So the market, the market did kind of what we expected it to do. We did speak about this one, and yeah, that was all. That was all for this. No, I was just joking. Now we know Natalie was right. Let's see. I just want to. Yeah, exactly. It's the 4th of July, so happy 4th of July. Light, because I'm that 111 energy. Yes, you are, Tomesho. Okay, so here for 5 minutes and hear nothing about BTC. Why are you complaining? Let me introduce the people. That is, well, okay, don't be like that. Okay, so let's see. I want to see first of all how it looks on DXY. Yeah, we only came back down and retested the previous high. Bitcoin. Okay, so on the 4-hourly, I don't know if you did look at the video that I did put up a couple of.
The fewest packets, fraud, for example, being a source of error, and government interference in currencies being a source of error. But it's fundamentally an information system. So I think it makes sense to support something that improves the quality of information with which we conduct the economy. And Bitcoin is a candidate for that.
Welcome, everybody, to the B Word. I'm Steve Lee, the lead of Square Crypto, and I'm here today to moderate a discussion about Bitcoin that will span from what makes it special to its relationship with energy, the community ethos, and the future of Bitcoin. I'm joined by 3 special guests. The first is Cathie Wood, founder, CEO, and CIO of ARK Invest. Next is Elon Musk, techno king of Tesla and chief engineer of SpaceX. And finally, Jack Dorsey, CEO of Square and CEO of Twitter. So we have a lot to talk about today. So let's get to the talk and get right to it. I'm going to start off by asking each of you a question, which is what's shaped and influenced your views on Bitcoin? And let's start with Cathie.
Okay, Steve, thank you. Well, the first thing was our focus on disruptive innovation. So starting in 2011, Brett Winton, our director of research, who I know will be on the program later, he started talking about this thing called Bitcoin at the time. And it was a curiosity as we were doing our brainstorms in research. But as we learned more about this open source ecosystem, that might fulfill the role of the payment system that the internet neglected to build into the system, not expecting commerce, we thought, this might be something. And then I became even more interested when I realized that my economics would come into play as well here. And Art Laffer, my mentor from USC, and a monetary scholar, in 2014, I asked him if he would collaborate on a paper on Bitcoin. And he was a bit of a naysayer at first, but agreed to read the paper. He read the paper, tore it up, and from an economics point of view, really wanted to understand this. And he said, I think you got something here. This is a rules-based monetary system. I've been waiting for this for my entire career. So the combination of disruptive innovation generally, economics on top of that, and the huge misunderstanding out there as to what this is, that was intriguing and launched our research effort.
Thank you. Elon, what's influenced your views on Bitcoin?
Well, I've thought about money for quite a while, obviously since the PayPal days. And then the companies that preceded that, X.com, which I created, and Confinity, which Peter Thiel, Max Levchin, Luke Howry, and others created. And we combined the companies and made PayPal. So I've been thinking about money for a long time. And really, it's best to think of money as an information system, primarily an information system for labor allocation. And for practical purposes, it exists in a series of heterogeneous databases, like very different databases in bank mainframes around the world. It moves quite slowly in reality. It seems to move fast sometimes, and it does with PayPal, which is real time. But the vast majority of the systems out there are batch processing. So the actual reconciliation may take 1 to 5 business days, sometimes longer. And you have the ACH system, which is ancient and still in operation, which allows transfers effectively like a check would be an ACH transfer, but it's not secure. And you've got the credit card systems, which are also not secure. It would be like handing your username and password to a stranger in a restaurant if you buy a meal. So there's definitely an opportunity for something that is better from an information theory standpoint. So and there you can think of it like data on a network. I think is the way to view it. What has the most throughput? What has the least error? What drops the fewest packets? Fraud, for example, being a source of error. And government interference in currencies being a source of error. But it's fundamentally an information system. So I think it makes sense to support something that improves the quality of information with which we conduct the economy. And Bitcoin is a candidate for that. It does, I think, some things well, and it's obviously it's evolving, and there are additional things like Lightning being done on top of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin per se is mostly solving for scarcity, or rather solving for essentially having no throat to choke, decentralized. So there's no one who can be coerced in any way to empty their Bitcoin account. Well, I guess they could technically, but on an individual basis, but the system as a whole cannot. And it has an open ledger, which is also quite good. But transaction volume is low. Transaction cost is high, and usability for the average person is not yet very good. But it has a lot of potential. And I should say that, like, I'm not, and I apologize for taking a long time, but there certainly is a lot to say. In general, I'm a supporter of Bitcoin and the idea of cryptocurrency in general. But as I've said publicly, we do need to watch out for crypto taking, especially Bitcoin, using proof of work to maybe use energy that's maybe a bit too much and not necessarily good for the environment. So, but on balance, I support Bitcoin, and I'm not an investor. The only publicly traded stock I own is Tesla, and the only significant thing I own outside of Tesla is my SpaceX stock that could help create both companies. So, but apart from that, I do own Bitcoin, and Tesla owns Bitcoin, SpaceX owns Bitcoin, and I do personally own a bit of Ethereum and Dogecoin, of course. So.
Okay, great, thank you. And we'll get into some of those issues in more depth as well. Jack, how about you? What shaped your views of Bitcoin?
The network and the community. It's deeply principled. It's weird as hell. It's always evolving, and it just reminded me of the internet when I was a kid. And I encountered alt cypherpunks when I was fairly young, and this was a topic of discussion for years. I didn't touch it until 2008 when we started Square. Elon and teams at X and PayPal inspired a lot of what we were trying to do, trying to bring in more to a physical world, but we encountered this crazy predatory system that was slow, that was obtuse. And I think, one of the things that we tried to do, which X and PayPal also tried to do, is build an abstraction layer around this complication and around this predatory nature that the financial industry can tend to be, and make it work for people. But when I saw Bitcoin in 2009, you see a chance to replace the whole foundation. And everything that Elon was talking about in terms of ACH and the credit card networks were built with very different agendas in a very different time frame. And it's crazy that they still exist, and they have scaled, but they just are not relevant to today, and they're certainly not relevant to the future, especially when you consider the entire world and countries like Nigeria or Ghana or India, and its interconnection with countries like the United States and Canada and all over Europe. So what really drove my thinking and drives my passion around it is, like, if the internet gets a chance to get a native currency, what will that be? And to me, it's Bitcoin, because of those principles, because of that creation story, because of its resilience, because of the number of tests it's been. But what inspires me the most is just the community driving it. It just reminds me of the early internet. It's the only reason that I have a career, because I learned so much from people like who are building Bitcoin today, and I continue to learn in that sense, and I'm so grateful for it.
So that's a good segue into the next question I'd like to ask you, Jack. Is you said before that Bitcoin changes everything. Can you speak more to that?
Well, I just think that a lot of what we experience in life, when you really get down to the foundation, a lot of our monetary policies, a lot of our monetary systems cause so much distraction and so much cost. And when you get to a system where you have the potential for people to truly own it, they can verify it themselves. You don't have to have trust going in. You don't have to trust it at all. You can verify it through source code or whatever your appetite is, and that any particular person can help drive the future of it. And at the same time, it's not controlled by any state. It's not controlled by any bank. It's not controlled by any corporation. And these three parties of people who participate in the network, people who mine, and also the developers, constantly debating the correct roadmap and the way forward, is a beautiful thing. And I don't know of many other consensus-based models that have existed at that scale for this long with this amount of success. And we're still fairly early. So when, I met a woman in Ethiopia 2 years ago, and she was trying to create the lift for Ethiopia. Elon, I think I reached out to you at that time as well, because she really wanted some Teslas. She still has to take paper fiat cash from her passengers and pay all of her drivers in the same way, because there's no monetary system that she can utilize. There's nothing digital. And Africa as a continent is hugely interconnected from a monetary standpoint, but also hugely taxed in that same way. So a lot of the potential that I see, the internet having a native currency helps her build her business in a much faster way. And also, if you consider something like Bitcoin existing before YouTube, before Twitter, before Facebook, a lot of the business models that we have today would not be the same. We would certainly not have the dependency we have upon the advertising business model if Bitcoin existed pre-Twitter. And I think the amount of business models that it enables, the amount of innovation it enables going forward, especially when you can consider the whole internet instead of going country by country by country by country, which you have to whenever you're dealing with finance, it really just opens the aperture. And that is what I want to see in my lifetime, is a currency that is standard and sound for the internet that everyone can use.
Great. A hallmark of Bitcoin is its fixed supply of 21 million coins. Elon referenced that earlier. It may be the first system that humans have created that humans cannot later change. Kathy, I'm curious, with your background in monetary history and macroeconomics, what are your thoughts on that type of system?
Oh, well, I'll recount the story about Art Laffer and our going through the paper, and he said, as I said, first rules-based monetary system, global, ever. This is a very big idea. Once we had convinced him of the ecosystem itself. Now, this is the role that it's playing, given that the rule is a quantity rule, that 21 million units, is really a store of value role. So there are three roles of money. Store of value, very important. The means of exchange, so for transactions, and the unit of account. Every good priced in terms of whatever the unit is. So store of value is its primary use right now. The others exist. Unit of account, reserve currency of the crypto asset ecosystem. That's being seeded a little bit towards stable coins right now. But the store of value is a very big role. And means of exchange with apps built on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, we think is going to become more of a reality. Right now, high value transactions take place over Bitcoin, and that is a very useful role. So we look at those, and I remember saying to Art, "How big could this be?" And he said, "Well, how big is the U.S. monetary base?" Well, today it's $8 trillion. $8 trillion. At the time we were talking, it was $4 trillion. So we've gone through another crisis since then. And so the store of value, this idea that purchasing power will go up over time if demand rises relative to supply. Supply ultimately fixed at 21 million units. That's a very good thing. Purchasing power going up globally around the world. And this idea that it's a hedge against confiscation of wealth. And that can take place in a myriad of ways. But inflation, and especially hyperinflation in emerging markets, is the primary way. Talk about destroying purchasing power. So that's a very big idea. And I'll also mention deflation. In some ways, it's a hedge against deflation. I know some people are confused that we at ARC think that we're in a deflationary environment here in the United States. If that is true, the odds of a hyperinflation in the rest of the world, especially in emerging markets, is also true. So, but this deflation, and we learned from 0809, there's counterparty risk associated with deflation. And I think Bitcoin would be a hedge against that eventuality as well. So it's a very big idea.
Right. I suspect among us, there's not a lot of debate about Bitcoin's potential as a store of value. But Jack, you referenced earlier it being or becoming the native currency of the internet. Can you speak more to that, and also how it relates to maybe how institutions think about it?
Yeah, I mean, like just simple example. If I happen to be in Ghana and my family's in Nigeria, currently I can take anywhere from and I need to send money back. Anywhere from 10 to 30% off the top just to send that money back. Whereas if you just focus on the worldwide remittance problem, Bitcoin solves so many of those problems today instantly without having to go through any intermediaries or any slowness or complicated systems that a corporation or a state created. So I think having sound money that is separate from the state is the idea. Having it completely verifiable by everyone, including the state, including corporations, including individuals, including developers who want to build on top of it, is quite powerful, and that's what keeps it secure and strong. And I think that's we need more of that, which is why this one of the reasons why this conversation is so important is as entities come into the space, it's not just buying an asset and holding on to an asset and treating it as an investment. There's something special that created this, and something precious and something very unique, which has to be protected, and we need to do whatever we can to help that thrive as well.
Elon, I'm curious your opinion on this. You mentioned earlier about Bitcoin's throughput, or the importance of throughput, maybe some concerns around Bitcoin. Can you speak? Do you think Bitcoin can become peer-to-peer cash?
Well, Bitcoin does have a fundamental scarcity limit at the base layer that's designed in. That doesn't mean you can't have some layer 2 system in theory like Lightning. And I understand Lightning is doing well in some small countries. There's some question mark as to whether you need a money transmitter license. Just a debate as to whether that's needed, given that it is not open ledger. So that's a whole separate debate, of course. But Bitcoin by itself simply cannot scale to be the monetary system for the world at base layer. But with a second layer, this is possible depending upon how that second layer is implemented. Yeah, that's part of why I think there may be some merit to something that may seem silly, like Ethereum, like Dogecoin. I think Ethereum also, like I said, the three things I own outside of SpaceX and Tesla, and also obviously it's a Neuralink and Boring Company, but of any significance are Bitcoin by far, and then some Ethereum and some Doge. So if the price of Bitcoin goes down, I lose money. I'm not sort of I might pump, but I don't dump. It's not a case of I definitely do not believe in getting the price high and selling or anything like that. And I would like to see Bitcoin succeed. I think there's some merit to this is not a slam on Bitcoin. There's some merit to considering something that has higher max transaction rates and a lower transaction cost, and kind of seeing how far you could take a single layer network where the exchanges act as a de facto second layer. I think you can probably take that further than people realize, and as bandwidth increases over time, latency decreases. SpaceX and Starlink is actually playing a role in this, and I think long term people will probably have access to worldwide access to gigabit level connectivity at low latency, and so at low cost. And so then your base layer could do a lot of transactions if you take that into account. So yeah, but like I said, Bitcoin with a layer 2 system, so they could scale to do a vast number of transactions. Same goes for Ethereum.
Question about the scaling at the layer 1. The concern from the past 5 years of debate in the Bitcoin community is that would sacrifice too much decentralization and hurt the censorship-resistant properties of Bitcoin. I'm curious if what are your thoughts on that? Are you sensitive to that? And are you concerned about losing some of the special properties of Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency by scaling at layer 1?
Yeah, I mean, these things it's helpful to use the physics tools of thinking and say, scale up, scale down, and see if it still makes sense. So if scaling up the transaction block doesn't make sense, why don't you scale it down? And have it be, so that somebody, with a laptop from 2008 can still run a Bitcoin node. Why not slow it down? Oh, you want to slow it down? Well, maybe you're at the wrong number then.
there's actually there's members in the community that do want to slow it down, but I understand your point.
It's silly. The reality is the average person is not going to run a Bitcoin node. So this is and Bitcoin. It was a lot of clever ideas, but these parameters were set. I don't know in 2008 or something, maybe 2009. And there's been some improvements since then, but not a lot. So It's sort of like if there was still in 2008 there was still a non-trivial number of people on modems. So now it is quite common to get a 100 megabit connection just for a house. Some houses have gigabit connections. So and that trend is obviously in the direction of higher bandwidth and lower latency. And if somebody else doesn't do it, Starlink certainly will. So I have high confidence that you will be able to maintain a decentralized finance system while still having a much bigger blockchain, aka ASCII text ledger, a hash ledger. You can make the hash ledger bigger without suffering from decentralization as the average connectivity improves, obviously.
One idea would be to to put a Bitcoin full node in Starlink terminals. That way more people would be running it.
Actually, I have run this by the team at one point. I had this idea, which is kind of off the wall, but let's say you need a little space heater, and normally your space heater would just be pure entropy. Well, what if that space heater was also a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge mining node? Pick your currency, and so then you'd be heated up, and you would also mine your crypto and have connectivity in one.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I mean, better than running a space heater.
Absolutely. Are there any other, so you're drawn to Dogecoin a little bit. Are there any other gaps in Bitcoin that you see that cause you to be drawn towards Dogecoin?
Oh, I think, I think there's Doge has the Doge community. I think is somewhat irreverent, obviously, and has great memes and loves dogs, and I love dogs and memes, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, I think there's Occam's razor, which is the simplest answer is the most likely. It's a summary of Occam's razor. The simplest answer is the most likely one. Then there's a friend of mine came up with a variant on that the most ironic outcome is the most likely one. And then I have a variant on that, which is the most entertaining outcome is the most likely one. So if that is true, then the most ironic and entertaining outcome would be that the cryptocurrency that was started as a joke to make fun of cryptocurrencies ends up being the leading cryptocurrency. That would be the most ironic outcome.
Yeah. Jack, what are your thoughts on that? Is Bitcoin resilient enough to overcome that?
I think it's resilient, but also I think you find, that's what attracts me to Bitcoin in the first place is the irreverence. A lot of that just brings it forward, and at first go it makes it a little bit inaccessible, but as people get into it, it makes it more accessible and more spreadable. And I absolutely think the resilience is there. I think it's important to have fun as well. And anyway folks can express themselves. I think that goes back to the main idea of how do we create a native currency for the internet? Anything that goes towards that path, that's whatever wackiness or fun we can have along the way, that's going to make it a lot more enjoyable, and it's going to make a lot more people want to use it.
I'd also point out there's nothing stopping someone from creating a Bitcoin wallet that's fun and has memes, has dogs. That's possible as well. Great. Let's move on
right now at this point.
Let's move on to the next topic, which is Bitcoin and energy. It's a really hot topic that lots of people are talking about. Let's start with Elon. You've been vocal on this. You've said that. You said many things about it. You've also said that Tesla will resume payments in Bitcoin payments if the renewable energy is approximately 50% and sort of looks like it's on a positive future trend. What do you think the state of things are with respect to that?
Yeah, so I do think that there appears to be a positive trend in the energy usage of Bitcoin. Actually, part of this is due to the drop in Bitcoin price. What I observed, or what I thought I was seeing, there may be some disagreements on this, but from when Tesla announced that it had acquired Bitcoin and was doing Bitcoin transactions, there was a massive run-up in the Bitcoin price, and also a massive increase in the amount of energy used to mine Bitcoin. And I think I understand renewable energy quite a bit. I mean, Tesla does solar and interacts with a lot of wind generation through our mega pack, because basically need to store energy from wind and from solar. So we're pretty plugged into the renewable energy industry. And there's just no way that you could basically double or triple the amount of energy in such a short period of time with renewables. You could shovel coal that fast. And so I was like, look, this is too sketchy. Tesla's mission is accelerating the advent of sustainable energy. We can't be the company that does that and also not do appropriate diligence on the energy usage of Bitcoin. So all I did was I said, look, we're going to suspend Bitcoin transactions for now. We're not selling any Bitcoin, nor am I selling anything personally, nor is SpaceX selling any Bitcoin. Again, I want to emphasize SpaceX, Tesla, and I own Bitcoin. I also own a little bit of Ethereum and Doge, but the companies just own Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin that I own is worth much more than the Ethereum or Doge. So clearly, if I'm if these actions negatively affect me financially, if I was purely financially motivated, then I would not express this reticence about Bitcoin energy usage. Now, it looks like Bitcoin is shifting a lot more towards renewables, and a bunch of the heavy-duty coal plants that were being used, unequivocally being used, this is not a question mark, have been shut down, especially in China. So I think it's probably, we want to do a little bit more diligence to confirm confirm that the percentage of renewable energy usage is most likely sort of at or above 50%, and that there is a trend towards increasing that number, and if so, then Tesla will resume Bitcoin, accepting Bitcoin. So I think we want to just do a little bit more diligence, and I think, but most likely the answer is that Tesla would resume accepting Bitcoin, most likely.
That's Steve, great to hear. I would agree with that. Kathy?
Yeah, may I ask a question? Elon, I'm not quite sure if you saw the paper that Square and ARC did together on making Bitcoin mining a part of a utility, a broad-based utility ecosystem, whereby, the overage from sunshine or wind powers the Bitcoin mining machine, thereby enabling the proliferation of renewables to a much faster extent, or at a faster rate than otherwise would be the case. What do you think of that?
Well, the problem is that in order to operate so-called mining or hashing rigs, in order to operate a bunch of hashing rigs, effectively, you have to run them 24/7, which means you need base load. You can do that with solar and wind plus battery, but if you only did it based on solar or wind overage, your hashing rig utilization would be much less. So you'd be at a disadvantage.
Sure,
hydro or geothermal are great as renewable means. I'm also pro nuclear. I think modern nuclear power plants are safe, contrary to what people may think. I really think it's possible to make very, very extremely safe nuclear. I'm talking about fission. You don't need fusion. And then, of course, fusion. You just got that big fusion reactor in the sky called the sun. It comes up every day. So But I think a combination of solar and wind plus stationary storage will get you that base load so you can run hashing 24/7.
Okay. Jack, I'm curious, you've stated that Bitcoin incentivizes renewable energy. That's what we're talking about now. Do you have any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, everything that Elon said and Kathy mentioned, but it's also incentivizing a lot of innovation in just energy space and just like looking at unused energy. There's a company called Great American Mining that caps the methane flares on oil fields to power their rigs. And you just imagine, and you mentioned nuclear, Elon, as well, and just imagine all the unused energy that is just being wasted every single day. And being able to get that energy and converting it into a secure, sound money system for the planet feels like a worthy trade-off. And that's the sort of incentive that I think is most powerful, is like, how do we reuse what is being currently just dumped on the ground and wasted and not considered, and how do we do that at scale? And I think that's a bigger conversation that I think is missing. But I agree with everything that Elon has said, and also the paper we put forth.
I'm curious if any of you have thoughts on how what the industry can do to accelerate the transition to renewable energy. And like Elon specifically, could Tesla Energy or Starlink play a role?
Well, I think Tesla can play a role. Tesla's literal reason for existence. The reason I've put so much of my life energy into Tesla, which is a lot. In fact, I would say that I've had some pretty tough life experiences, and Tesla is responsible for probably 2/3 of all personal and professional pain combined. Just to give you a sense of perspective there. So this is a hella hard situation. But we do solar, commercial solar, solar retrofit, as well as the solar roof, and we make consumer battery packs called Powerwall for houses and small businesses, and then the utility scale, which are gigantic. These we've done now a number of gigawatt-hour installations. That's a lot. That's a lot. And a lot of them actually have been for load leveling the grid. Mostly they are, and combined with the first really big one we did, which is 100 megawatt installation in Australia. That's actually helped stabilize a huge portion of the South Australian grid because it's able to react so fast. In fact, at first, because they've got a billing system in Australia that I think works at the sort of millisecond level, and we were operating at the microsecond level. So the system was operating so fast that the measuring system couldn't see it. But so Tesla's certainly doing a lot to enable renewables, especially wind and solar. And in fact, the limiting factor for us right now is cell production. So we need to both internally get the Tesla internal battery cells produced, as well as increase supply from suppliers. Generally, when I talk to our suppliers and they say, how many cells would you like us? How many cells can you make? Because sometimes they're concerned, well, is Tesla going to compete with them on cells? I'm like, no. If you want to make the cells, be our guest. It's just that we need a crazy number of batteries, and they need to be done. It also needs to be mined and produced and manufactured in an ethical and environmentally sound way. So, Tesla, we really do aspire to be the good guys, to be a company that people can believe in. That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes, but that's what we try. So, but I think generally hydro, especially existing hydro, is good for mining. Geothermal, there's lots of places in the world that have geothermal energy. Like I said, nuclear is also good. Yeah, I think just I'm like I'm like as I said earlier, the expectation is not like that the energy production must be pure as the driven snow, but it must it can't be using it also cannot be using the world's dirtiest coal, which was for a moment there. So that's just difficult for Tesla to support in that situation. So I think. But I do think long-term renewable energy will actually be the cheapest form of energy. It just doesn't happen overnight. But as long as there is a conscious and determined and real effort by the mining community to move towards renewables, then obviously Tesla can support that.
That's great. Kathy, we've been talking a lot about energy, but many institutions are facing questions around Bitcoin's relationship with ESG. Can you maybe speak a little bit more to what is S and G in ESG and how Bitcoin might support those?
Sure. So E, of course, is environmental, S is social, and G is governance. And there is a massive movement afoot in the institutional world, especially, to embrace ESG and make sure that their asset managers are doing the same. So if we've just talked about environmental, and I really do believe that Bitcoin will be much more environmentally friendly, certainly than traditional gold mining or the traditional financial services sector. In many ways, it already is, and it's just going to get better that way. In terms of social, I know that many institutions, when they are thinking of social, they think of diversity and equity, pay equity, and all of that. But if from our point of view, the disruptive innovation point of view, social is much more than that. It is saving lives, of course, autonomous technology, that would be another topic for Elon. But in this case, allowing access to payment technology, as Jack is saying, everywhere around the world without friction. And just back to the remittance example, I think if I've got these stats correctly, there are certain countries in the world that are incredibly dependent on remittances for GDP. To Tonga, 37%, El Salvador, which just deemed Bitcoin legal currencies, 24%, Nepal, 24%. And I think the remittance industry globally, roughly 700 billion. So saving people these egregious fees, think about it, you're paying anywhere from 8% to, as Jack said, 30% of your $100 that you're sending back to your family. That is social responsibility, I would submit, as is just the economic empowerment that Bitcoin will enable. We've talked about that already. And I know that Alex Gladstein is going to be talking later about, the 4.3 billion people in the world who are hostage to authoritarian regimes, or the 1.3 billion who are living in double-digit and triple-digit inflation, if not more. Saving them from the destruction of their purchasing power certainly is a noble social goal. So we expand social to be much more than the traditional ESG community. And then on governance, you've got the transparency of the ecosystem. It's completely transparent, unlike the opaqueness of financial systems and the toll takers in the traditional financial world. And I think a huge part of governance in the Bitcoin ecosystem are the Bitcoin core developers. Now, before I met them, and I've had the pleasure and the honor of meeting many of them, that was a part of this ecosystem I didn't understand. But actually getting to sit down and talk to them, if I have a learning curve need, it certainly is on the technology side. But in terms of talking to them about economics, economic theory, failed monetary regimes, historically. They know economic history, many of them, better than anyone I've ever met. So that gives me a great degree of confidence that they do believe they're on a noble mission. They could be paid a lot more than they're being paid right now if they worked at Google or Facebook or some of these other areas. But they've chosen, this sense of purpose for a noble goal, and they have incredibly strong technology backgrounds. As well as a good understanding of economic history, especially monetary history. And it gives me a great deal of comfort as I think about the governance of the ecosystem, much more so than I think we would find in other financial ecosystems. And just to give you an example of that, I think 2 years, we were talking about, there's a big debate about reorganizations, I know in the Ethereum network right now. Well, we saw the core Bitcoin developers and others at work back in 2019 when Binance tried to reorganize in order to reclaim 7,000 Bitcoin that were hacked. And they just wouldn't allow it. So we've already had some very good tests of the Bitcoin ecosystem, including developers. So that would be my answer, Steve.
Thank you. And it's a great transition to the next topic area, which is Bitcoin ethos. And what is Bitcoin ethos? I mean, Bitcoin was born as open source and it's very transparent. There's also a staunch defense from the community around decentralization and a lot of the core principles of Bitcoin. So let's talk a little bit about that and what makes it special. Jack, Square has done a lot to support open source Bitcoin. Can you tell us a little bit about what Square has done and what advice you'd have for other institutions looking to follow in its footsteps?
Yeah, I mean, I was very skeptical of corporations when I was a kid, and I'm still skeptical of corporations today. And, as we've used corporations to be, they've been great vessels for what we need to do and the ideas that we need to bring to the world. But, Bitcoin is not that. And when we were considering Bitcoin and how Square intersected, I was really concerned with how we don't disrupt the community in a negative way, how we promote what is amazing about it, and how we help it grow in that way, in the way that it wants to. So we created your team, Steve, which is Square Crypto, which is hiring open source developers to work on whatever they want and whatever they think is most important to help Bitcoin. We created an organization called Copo, which we gave up all of our crypto patents so that the community can use them in defense against trolls and some crazy characters we won't name. And we continue to find ways that, following that Bitcoin path, we're going to create a hardware wallet. We're probably going to do a lot more in hardware. Everything that we do in the space is going to be completely open source, from the hardware design to the software, taking in the community's push. And we're building a developer platform as well, in the same open development, open source, and completely transparent. So I think as institutions or companies like ours consider getting in the space, I think contribution back to the community is important. Tesla did this with accepting payments for Tesla and finding security holes and improving the stack. And as I said before, we can't just see this as an asset that we own and an investment vehicle. This is something that has the potential to change everything and make the lives of everyone on this planet better in some small, maybe marginal way, but those margins will be meaningful as they compound over time.
Great. Elon, you've tweeted before that any wallet that doesn't give the user their private key should be avoided at all costs. Can you tell us more about why is that important, and how does what's its relationship with decentralization?
Well, it's difficult to say that if you own crypto in an exchange and the exchange does not give you your private keys, it's not clear that you own anything. I mean, if there's something that, if that exchange breaks or is hacked or or is subject to seizure by the government or something like that, your crypto is gone. So in order to actually have a properly decentralized finance, which I'm a fan of, I think it makes sense. Then you have to own your private keys, and you should be the only one who has your private keys. So if you're the only one who has the private keys, then you own it. If someone else has your private keys, effectively they own it too, and the security of your crypto is then dependent upon them or any entity that can affect them. So yeah, I think what Jack's doing sounds like a good idea to have a hardware wallet that's the only thing that contains your private keys. Like that's like in terms of sort of empowering the people, which I very much believe in. Then I think you want to have people have their own wallets and be the only ones that have the private keys to that wallet, so-called wallet, the other side of the of the crypto.
Right. I agree, and I think we'll see an emergence too of new solutions that use multi-sig, like with a 2 of 3 keys, where the user has 2 keys, and then you get assisted custody by having an institution hold a 3rd key. Can be a good solution as well. Yeah.
Well, you can just put your private key in something that has dual access or voting access as an application on an existing network.
Right. So the Bitcoin community is known for staunchly defending Bitcoin's principles. Sometimes it can be rude and aggressive, but I think what it stems from is just a desire to not have wealthy or powerful people or institutions negatively impacting Bitcoin or sort of changing the rules in favor of them. I'm curious to hear from each of you what role you feel like you and your own institutions, your own companies, what role can you play in Bitcoin, and how do you positively impact it without having these negative drawbacks? Kathy, maybe start with you.
Sure. Yes. Well, ARC has stood for 2 things: democratization and transparency. Democratize it. We're the closest you'll find to a venture capital fund in the public equity markets, and I kind of feel that Bitcoin, or we have Bitcoin's DNA from that point of view. One of the things in terms of democratization is education. We have one of our missions, values, is to educate, and I do believe that that some of Yacine El-Mandra's white papers. Yacine's our lead crypto analyst, who's worked very closely with you, Steve, on this conference, are helping the cause. We've done, and not only for retail investors, we found that we had to do a bit more when it came to institutional investors, just because of the way that they invest and the way they like to receive information. So just like in our investments, we've been the retail community has been more attracted to us first, and now the institutional community is coming along. So I do think our transparency of research, especially in the social world, social media, pushing our research out for free to anyone, is part of our way of helping the community. And I do think encouraging, and this is something that Jack just said, I would encourage the support of the Bitcoin core developer community. As I said before, it's amazing to me, having gotten to know some of them, how strong their sense of purpose is here. And so we'd like to be helpful in making that happen as well.
That's great. Jack, how about you? How do you view your own personal role and the companies you run?
I think my own personal role through the companies I run is to really push for more decentralization, like everything that we intend to do with the wallet, being non-custodial, building a developer platform focusing on non-custodial solutions.